Okay, Mr. Bahren Shaari is the former CEO of Bank of Singapore. He is currently the board member of SBH Media as well as NUS Board of Trustee. He is also a member of the Council of Presidential Advisors. Together with us today, we also have Mr. Nazri Mokhtar, editor of Berita Harian. Thank you, Mr. Bahren. Thank you, Mr. Bahren, for your time here. Today, we are going to talk about navigating careers. And I'm sure the audience is excited to hear more about how you navigated your career in banking despite being a minority. Many of the audience here today have submitted questions they would like to ask you about. Questions ranging from the childhood days and how it has shaped you, your motivations and inspirations to attain such a high level of success. And they are also curious to find out more about the values you hold dear and the leadership style that you have, as well as your experience working on international or global level. Okay, so let's dive right in. I'm sure the audience would love to hear about your life journey. Your dad was an imam in a surau, and your mom was a housewife. So in a video interview with Berita Harian in 2018, your mom said that you often cried a lot when you were a baby or when you were young, but that many elders told her that you'll be successful. She also noted that you have been very hardworking since young and that you are often studying till the wee hours in the morning to figure out what you may not know yet. So maybe you can start by sharing with us what your childhood was like and how it has shaped you to be what you are today.
Thank you, Rabia. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm happy to share my experience, but I always put a caveat, that's the past. Right? It's a different time, different generation. So, but I share with you from my perspective. So I hope you take it on that basis. So in terms of what you just mentioned, Rabia, I don't know whether I cry a lot because I was a baby then, so I cannot remember. So, but I do know that I spent a lot of time studying simply because it doesn't come naturally to me. Studying is not something that I'm academically inclined to. So I do need to work hard, not to excel, but just to make sure I move forward, right? So I think that's kind of the drive I have in the early days. And one of the motivation was to be ahead, and I think to be able to be financially independent, because I know my parents work hard for my education. So I think there's a certain expectation, although they never mention it directly to me, but I think there is an expectation that I do well, or rather I go to university. In Singapore then there's only one university. So either you go to that university or you're out of university, right? It's only NUS at that time. And I have no other choice because you can't go abroad because there's no distance learning and so on. So I have to work really hard just to get into university. So that's the reason why I work hard.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bahren, for sharing. So it's very important, right, to be consistent, to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Okay, so let's dive deeper into your journey and the lessons that you've picked up along the way. So like you mentioned, you graduated from NUS with a degree in accountancy. You started off as an auditor, but aimed to make it into private banking. So we heard that you sent out about 100 applications before finally getting employed by American Express Bank. So the question is, has working in the banking sector been your dream since young? And have you ever imagined you will be a CEO of a bank one day? What compelled you to attain the highest level of success in such a competitive industry?
So I never really dreamed to be a CEO of a bank. I think my only motivation was financial independence. And related to that is really job security. In the days where I was growing up, getting a job and keeping the job is not so easy. So I think you really need to make sure that you have job security, and from there you have financial independence, right? And financial independence to me is important because it gives you freedom to do what you want to do and what you like to do. So that's what's important. So I decided to go into banking because it was a growth, and it still is, a growth industry. And I don't know anything about banking. I just don't want to go banking because I heard there's a lot of, you get paid well, right? You get paid well. And I was an auditor, and it was such a boring job for me. Really, really challenging because, as I said, I'm not the one who is very meticulous. I'm not so detail-oriented. And I struggle to do quite a lot of it to get things right to the final balance. Right? I mean, if you are, I think some of you in accounting and auditing, you know everything must be balanced. So that's not so natural to me. So I want immediate, as soon as I get into auditing, I want to get out of auditing, but, but it's not so easy because it was a recession, economy wasn't so good, I don't have any network or connection in banking, so I've just continued writing to get a head start, to get a foot in, rather, not even a head start, foot into the banking industry, regardless whatever the role I have in the banking sector. Because once you get into it, then you can explore, form your network, build friendship, and find where the opportunities are. So for those in banking, for example, if you are in a back end, some are in the operation department, right? Doesn't matter. Because in the operation department, although the job may be too mundane, administrative, and so on and so forth, I think it's a good stepping stone to do other things and to form the connection. And from there, you can move to the front line and other areas that in the finance industry. So I think that's what drove me. And then the other thing you point out, is I think perseverance is important. I mean, you really have to set a goal. This is what I want to do, and really, really focus on it. I mean, now with social media, even before then, without social media, there's a lot of distraction. A lot of distraction, right? Weekend, pergi rumah orang kahwin, pergi jemputan, pergi everything. There's so many things to do, right? So you got to prioritize yourself because everyone, what I believe is that everyone is given 24 hours a day. Whether you're Bill Gates, who you are, you only have 24 hours a day. No one is given any more than that. How you use your time is your choice. And how you use your time will be based on the goal you set for yourself and what you want to achieve. And be very focused about it. I mean, it's really how much you want it. If you really want it badly, you will put all the effort to achieve that. Right? Then you avoid distraction. Of course, you have to, I mean, now work life, but that's a choice. It's a choice. If you want to enjoy more life and less of the focus, that's your choice. Right? But that depends on what you want to do. To me, when someone asks me, are you happy with your job? I scratch my head. What is happiness in a job? The job is to get it done, do it well, and get paid for it, and progress with it. Happy, not happy? Well, I'm happy not working, and now I'm retired, I'm very happy. Because I don't have to go in the morning in the office at 8 a.m. or listen to all the problems in the office. Very happy, right? But when I'm working, that's a job. I have to do it, I have to do it. Right? So that's how I approach work from my perspective.
I see. So then in that case, maybe you can share with the audience, like what sacrifices do you make then in trying to prioritize your work?
Yeah. I think one of the, I'm not sure whether I shared this somewhere before, but I didn't form enough friendship and enough time with my extended family, right? My immediate family, my parents, of course, and my sisters. Even my siblings, I'm not very close. I don't hang around all the time because I don't have time. And in addition to that, I also, my wife now, and at that time, have started a business of her own, right? She's in a preschool business. And on Saturday, I will be with her looking at the business, right? So I basically don't have time. And Sunday is the only time sometime I have. That is all. So I don't spend, I didn't invest. So the price I pay, I didn't invest enough in relationship with people around me. I think that's, so if you ask me how many friends you have now, I count with one hand and that's about it. I don't really have many close friends that I can go out with, chill. That's not, and all the relationships were from work, from a work setting. So that's probably the major sacrifice that I have to make in terms of the time that I have to spend, right? Because I don't hang out, I don't go out, I don't chill, I don't party that much. Yeah.
Okay, so you shared with us that maybe forming a relationship with friends may not be something that you manage to do much of, but you have successfully climbed the corporate ladder to be at its pinnacle, and I heard you started without any network and contact. How were you able to build your network of high net worth clients to succeed in the private banking world? And any significant lessons you've learned on your path to success?
I think the important thing in any role that you do is to know what is expected from you. What is a measure of success, i.e. what's your KPI, right? How will you know that you have done a good job? To me, that's very important. So in a private banking business, is your ability to gain the trust of the clients. And the same thing in many other business, whether you are an accounting firm, a law firm, you need to gain the trust of your clients. And how do you gain trust of your clients? How you trust someone? Because that person is credible. He does a good job, he delivers on time, every time, right? So I have this, and this is part of what I learned in accounting. I always do it complete, accurate, and timely. Right? So if you do it complete, good job, you do it correctly, and you deliver it on a timely basis, you will build credibility, and from your credibility, you build trust. And it's very important to win the client, to win the trust of the people that you work with, and the clients that give you your business. So that was the only, and that was the key focus. And the other thing I always have is, what differentiates me from the others? So in the private banking or relationship management, there's so many people doing this business. So many people, right? Hundreds of people doing the same business. So you have to think, and I have to think, how do I differentiate myself from the others? So one thing is, make sure you have the knowledge skills required. You have to invest in yourself, build your knowledge base, so that when you talk to clients, you are the first one to bring this to clients. And whether in any part of the finance sector, if you just repeat what others have said to the clients, then you're not adding value. Where it is your value creation that's important, right? Everything that you do, everything that I do, I said, where do I add value? Right? Don't want to sibuk and then don't add anything, then talk whatever comes to your mind, you talk, then it's not really you adding value. I mean, client will see, people will see that this guy just talk and never really know what he's talking about. So to me, that's very important that you need to create value to your clients, and even for my colleagues in a working environment. You need to know, okay, what is expected from you, from your colleagues, right? If your job is to do this, then make sure you do deliver it to and you build a reputation. This is a person that is reliable, credible, and get the job done. Right? That is important. You don't want to have a certain other, this guy hardly around in the office, or this guy talk but never deliver, or this guy never show up for this. You don't want that. So to me, that's, if I hear anyone, I get very upset at why I have that reputation. How that come about, I do not know. Why I have that, I do not know. But over time, I developed that wanting to see. Maybe one of the things I see is that some of the simplest thing is the most difficult thing to do. Like showing on time for meeting all the time, right? And come prepared. How many people? It is a simple thing to do, but the most difficult thing to do as well. But because it's not easy for people to show up on time, all the time, and be prepared. Right? So you got to think about how you differentiate, because these are the few things that differentiate me from the rest, and that helps me to build my credibility.
Okay, so from your sharing, I can hear that there's a lot of hustling involved, right? So I'm not sure whether you have what we call the work-life balance. I think nowadays we hear a lot about how the Gen Z also value work-life balance, right? So what are your thoughts about work-life balance?
I think the key is that you must find purpose in what you're doing, right? So in the example I gave, if financial independence is what I strive for, that's the purpose, and that drives, and I learned through the process, right? I learned through the process. So if you do something that you find meaningful, then you'll find purpose. But easier said than done, right? It is not a privilege that many will have, that the job that you do is the one you like, that you've been seeking all your life. And chances is that, I think 9 out of 10, you get the job that you do because that's the job you apply and you got it, right? So you've got to find, so you've got to put it in perspective. So I put it, and this is probably an accounting trend, I put in a different bucket. This is a job bucket, this is my life bucket. So you've got to find things to do. So although I said I was not involved, I mean the time I spent quite a fair bit when I was in my 30s and 40s in the organization, Muslim organization. At that time, AMP I was involved in. I think mainly AMP, I think it was there. And I learned a lot because it gave me a different perspective outside the financial world. What it also taught me clearly is how to deal with people in a different environment, right? In finance industry, that's one. In the non-finance industry, I think in AMP, since I got involved and since my 30s in the early days, understanding the issue of the society, how to, what are some of the things that we need to do and so on, I learned a lot from that. I learned tremendously from that experience and also dealing with people coming from different other industries and so on. So it's important to have that.
Thank you. So I guess understanding, the grounds and the different people from the different industries are also very important. So now, Mr. Bahren, despite being a minority pursuing a career in the banking industry, you have had many accomplishments under your belt. You are the first Malay to be the CEO of a bank in Singapore. In 2016, you were among the 6 recipients of the Institute of Banking and Finance Distinguished Fellows Award. You were appointed by MAS to serve on the Corporate Governance Advisory Committee in 2019. You've also been awarded the Public Service Medal in 2008 and conferred the Public Service Star Medal in 2018. You've also been awarded the Anugerah Jauhari in 2018. So being from a minority race, were there challenges or any racial stereotypes that you face when you're pursuing a career in an industry that is not so common for the Malay Muslim community? And maybe you can share about how you overcome it as well.
So I would say, I mean, there definitely are stereotyping, whether it is expressly mentioned or whether it is indirectly, you can feel it, right? But I have, okay, I mean, I'm not sure how things are, nowadays people do challenge if someone says something that is not appropriate. In the days when I was growing up, it kind of, someone says something that's not really racially may not be right and so on, or jokes that are biased to a certain race, I tend to just move on, right? Which I don't challenge it so much because to me, it's difficult to change someone, what they say, but how I react is very important to me, right? So in my mind, I always say, I'll show you who's the better one. Okay, you can say whatever you want, right? You can say that this guy won't work hard, this guy, doesn't matter. To me, that is your right to say whatever you want, but it's me who's going to show at the end of the day who's the better one, right? In terms, so that's the way I see it, because I don't want to let it bother me. I think that's what's important, right? Because I can't control. I may correct it by a statement or whatsoever. I say that's not correct, but that's about all that I can do. But the only way to change that is to prove who you are as a person, as an individual, right? And what are the values that you stand for. And so before I became the CEO, there were other potential candidates, and they are not Malays. They are of other races, right? And I managed to go up simply because of the track record that I have. Fortunately as well, and I said this before, the bosses that I have in the past were Swiss, Filipino bosses, who tend not to see, who probably the stereotyping were a lot less, right? So that was a benefit for me. So when I was in UBS for 13 years, my boss until now, who I keep in touch with, who hired me in UBS, really he just hired me because he see, well, this guy is hardworking enough, give him a chance, right? So, and over the years, I learned a lot from him in UBS, and that's how I benefited by having bosses that kind of only look at the result and not who you are as a person. Right? I think that's something that's very important because, and again, as I said, easier said than done, but if you have bosses that, I mean, this is a common problem, right? You have a bosses that's very good, capable, who going to groom you, you are lucky, okay? And that's the minority. You have bosses who probably leave you alone, also very good. Because then you have an opportunity to show who you are, do what you learn, what you want to do. If the boss don't teach you anything, doesn't matter, you learn from other sources, other people, other colleagues, you learn and you progress in your career. If you have bosses who are not great in the job, my only advice is be patient. Because good company will get rid of those bosses. Right? So I always say you hang around, it's better that you the one to move first. Because assuming the company, and is a capitalist world, right? If the company has grown and survived, ultimately they will manage out the non-performing bosses. That's a reality. Right? So you hang around, and I benefited by hanging around, by the way. So I worked in UBS 13 years, I worked in American Express Bank for 8 years, and I was in Bank of Singapore for 13 years, right? And then when I was in UBS, part of the reason why I moved up into management was because the bosses, not that they are not good, but they want to move on, because they want to do bigger things, and that create opportunity for me. So patience has its virtue. So I don't, and I may be biased, but when I look at a CV of someone, I say, how many times have this person moved, right? If every 2 years or 3 years move, so what's wrong with this individual? Right? So you will progress if you stay in a place. Of course, when I first joined the working environment, I also moved 4 places before I find my job in American Express. But then by the time I joined American Express, I told myself I better not move. My CV will look horrendous. If I keep on moving, in 6 years or in 7 years, I have 5 jobs. So I decided to stay put and make the best of it. So you hang around in your job, look at the opportunities where you can learn and excel, and then you show what you can do in that organization.
Thank you. I think that a lot of the audience here will find this very interesting, right? Given how the Gen Zs are also known nowadays to, switch jobs, to chase for, higher designation or more experiences and all that, right? In fact, I've heard the term, internship, people collecting internships as well. Yeah, okay, so let's just move on to my last question before we open the floor for questions. Okay, having worked on an international global level, what advice do you have for those who aspire to do so? How can we become more resilient throughout our careers, especially with the volatile and unpredictable global environment?
One thing we all need to, and I over time discover, you need to know where are your strengths, right? And that's very, very important. What are you good at? That's very important. And those things that you are not very good at, you must have team members or friends or colleagues who are good at it, so that you can form a good team and complement each other, right? So that is very, very important. 2, I guess, don't get bothered with too many, sometimes, people that you come across in life who are negative, right? Who have all the negative thing to say, but nothing positive. I mean, that's easy job. Say bad things is always the easiest thing to do, but doing something about it is the most difficult, right? So don't waste your time. Don't go out for lunch to talk about other people. That's not me, right? People, even when the bosses, when someone come to my room and tell me, then I always say, okay, what is it that you want me to do? If you tell me all these things, you don't know, what can you do? And if you don't know what to do, then what you want me to do, right? So be focused on result, because time is very limited. Time is very limited. So people don't want you to, I rather not spend all this small talk and all this that is time consuming. So focus on what you want to achieve. So, and build a network. Extremely important, build network, right? Know people, different departments, different rank. If you get the opportunity to know, can get to know. And keep your ears close to the ground and your eyes open. Because how do people do their job? What makes them, because in every organization, we human will rank everyone in our head. Right? That's our human nature. This guy is good. Right? What makes him good? Why is he good? Right? Why is this one not so good? Right? Don't need to say about it, right? This one is a good guy. You keep your own judgment to yourself, right? But you learn from that by the observation and form the network. And I always believe you mix around with the good guys, you will be equally good.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bahren, for really sharing some personal, insights of your career. It's now time for the Q&A. So if you do have any burning questions, you just raise up your hands, and then my colleagues will go to you with the mic. First question, please.
Let me stand up. I'm very short. Okay. So, hi, my name is Ainul. My name is Ainul. I'm currently, alhamdulillah, a back-end engineer at IBM. So, my question to Bahren Shaari is, you are someone who has co-founded a preschool, been a CEO of a bank, board director member, and then now you are happily retired. So, as someone who has been through pretty much every stage, what are some things that you as someone who can take a breather and see how the world has changed, what are some things that you think our Malay youth should take more seriously, whether it's with their own personal growth or to uplift the community that they are living in?
Well, I would think that if there's one thing that we all should do, is to invest in ourselves, right? Invest in yourself. Because it is a fast-moving, changing environment. Whatever you learn in school will be obsolete the year after or the day after. Right? And I'm a board member of NUS Board of Trustees now, and we know that is the big challenge with generative AI, with many, many new things that's coming around. Whatever industry that you are in, whatever role that you have, you need to continuously invest in yourself. Okay, you have to identify what are the area of investments. Right? So in order for you to identify area of investment, there's a few factors you want to do. What are the growth industry? Like, for example, climate is a big thing now. Generative AI, I think for engineering, generative AI is a big thing. Understanding data science is a big thing. And the beauty now is that there are many free courses. And not only that, the government also put money to ask you to attend courses, right? It's better still. Right? So you have time, you only need time. Right? Because the money is there, the course is available, so you need to invest in yourself. In areas that are directly related to you, in the job that you are doing, in areas that are adjacent to do what you're doing, because if you are doing, for example, in software engineering, so what are adjacent in product management and others, right? And in non-related area of your interest. For example, when I was very early in my career, and that was when I was still in auditing, right? I have a good friend. I have a good friend who is, I would say he was one of the early person that I bounced idea with him. And he's very intellectual in that regard, right? And he kept, Bahren, you should read this book. And I still remember the book is called In Search of Excellence. Right? And this is a very early book, how companies become big, and what are the attributes of successful companies. And I'm just an auditor, I'm an audit assistant. So I read that book, and I read, and I find it very interesting. And I keep on reading many management books. And you must remember, I'm just an audit assistant. But why am I reading? The only person I need to manage is myself. I don't even manage any team and so forth. But I find it that, okay, it's interesting. And by the time I get into a management role, I have already built a whole body of knowledge that I have not learned anywhere before. Not in my job, not in the university, but because of my interest in management and understanding. Because if you just start to learn about management by the time you got appointed as a manager, it's a bit late. Because people reporting to you have become a lousy manager, and then they pay people who work for you, pay the price for your, your learning, right? So you better learn what you want to do. So if you decide to be good in certain other areas, pick up the knowledge in that areas, even if you're not in that role. Because the time will come and it happens that you have that opportunity, you are ready for it. So that, I think, investing in yourself, understanding the changes in the landscape, in the environment, in the industry that you are in, and make sure you are well positioned with the skill sets, that to me is what we should do. And we have to think global, okay? And especially for Malays. We have to think global. We do not, and we have to be bold. We must try. The most is that you get a rejection, no. Now, no downside, the most time, effort, and right? So if you say, no, this is too difficult, I cannot. I mean, I try. And I try many other things that are not successful. I'm not that everything, I think there are many other things. Other in businesses, I was trying to set up IT software company. There are many other things that was, my first business was doing some trading, trading business, make some $20,000. Okay, after that, no repeat business. So there are many things that I do that never really take off. But that doesn't matter. And then you realize, oh, this one cannot make money. This one, you make money, cannot scale. I realized that any business that I cannot scale is not a good business, because you can only, that means you cannot make a lot of money. You can only make that amount of money because you can't scale, right? So I always wanted to, any business I do, I must be able to scale it so that the $1 that I put in become $1,000. That's what I would do. So we have to think big. Think big, right? You've got to be driven by it. You've got to be motivated. You may not be good. I'm not, no one is naturally good and born to excel, to become a CEO. I don't think so. It's a competitive world, so you just have to keep your focus.
Thank you. So think big, right? And be daring, right? And learn from all the failures. Use your failures to learn and succeed. Okay, can we have the second question, please? Anyone? Just now I thought.
At the back.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hi, good evening. My name is Farhan. Yeah, I just have a question with regards to your journey in your career. So, like, I'm sure like you had to be patient to achieve like certain milestones, from becoming market head, regional head, and being a Malay Muslim minority. I mean, it felt, I guess, very lonely. But when you achieve these things, what kept you grounded that, such that you don't lose your head whenever you achieve certain milestones within your career itself? Because I think that's very important, not only about being patient, but your attitude once you hit that milestone that you've sought to achieve.
I guess growing up in a kampong and with a surau beside me, and the community activities I was involved in, I think keeps me grounded in that sense, right? So I never really let success get to my head. And it's easy. I mean, not that it is easier in that context, and that you don't get carried, especially in the private banking industry, you don't get carried with the glamour of the job. Okay, every job, sometimes you drive you, okay, there's glamour. Then you start buying bigger cars, you start doing this, doing that. The money will finish, and then you don't have enough saving, and when you retire, there's not enough, right? So, I mean, keep your life simple, because it's really messy enough, right? So, keep things simple, be very focused on what you want to do. So I guess that's the only thing. So I've been aspired to, I enjoy while it lasts, to say that I enjoy the traveling business class, go around the world, attend all these events, enjoy it while it lasts, right? doesn't mean that you're going to know, you know you're not going to last. That's number one. And you know that you have this opportunity because of my role as regional or as a global market head, and you take it and know, but be grounded. But I also have friends and others, relatives and family members who are not bankers, right? And I know the lifestyle. And I know that this keeps me grounded, right? I mean, it's not easy for everyone to be able to have a successful career. People may struggle. I mean, they get into a certain situation or they lost their job and never recovered. So you got to have that empathy that life, the way you see it, may not be the life that other people have it. And over the years, that empathy that I developed, it's also in the work environment. So one of the biggest, the most painful, the most difficult thing to do is when you have to ask someone to move on, right? Find another job. Because I always worry that the fact that this person loses the job, he has a family behind, he or she has a family that they are supporting, right? Or maybe they go into certain stress in life and so on. So I have to be mindful that you have to do it in a very professional way, in a compassionate way, and give person time to find the next job to do. And I also believe in karma. What goes around comes around. Be good to others, then good will come to you as well. Right? So, and be humble, because what you have is not yours. Right? And this can be taken away anytime. So that keeps me grounded. I mean, as much as possible. Huh? So I'm not saying there are many people more grounded than me. So I'm just saying that to the extent I can, I try to do that. And it's still work in progress, by the way. Huh? You keep on reminding myself every time.
Okay, thank you for sharing, right? Empathy is important to keep us grounded. So can we have the next question? Yeah.
Hi, hello, good evening. I'm Adelina here. So I think, maybe I'll introduce myself. I started my career in investment banking. Okay. In fact, I've actually started my career first in BOS. Yeah. So we'll probably have bumped each other at the lobby a few times. But yeah, so I wanted to ask you, I think as someone who come out fresh grad and then I joined BOS, kind of thing, I was very impressed to see people of my race to be in the C-suites, right? And I think this is a question that I've always wanted to ask you back when I was in BOS, but didn't have the chance, What do you think will be the challenges for today's generation, I would say myself as Gen Z, kind of thing, to reach the C-suites? Because, there's always a talk of like, oh, we can always import someone or hire someone out from the country, that kind of thing, take someone out from the majority race, kind of thing. What do you think, like, how do you think can one navigate, kind of thing? If I were to put it in context from back-end operations all the way up to the C-suites, is that even possible? Or like, just how and where and what are the, I guess, the challenges that you're able to see?
Well, I will be repeating myself. So I think it's possible, definitely, right? So what you need to do is really, at the end, bosses look at result. Companies look at results. Your stakeholders look at results. So it's very important to know what is the result that you're expecting from me, right? So that's very, very important. And then contribute to the team, projects, or whatever, because that's the way of making yourself visible. So if there are projects, you don't shy. I mean, of course, don't spend all your time, all the different projects, don't get your own job done. You do your own job well, make yourself visible in other, especially cross-departmental projects. So the one that I'm impressed when I get to know people from other departments is because they make a presentation to me in a project, right? So they go, oh, this guy is good. I mean, and you must be really prepared. You must invest, as I say, invest yourself. What is it that you want to know? If you're talking about data architecture, for example, right? So you need to know, you better be up to speed and understand the organizational context and present it in a concise way, right? So you need to be prepared for it. So result is important. Whether there are people coming from outside, there will be. That's something that you cannot stop. But why would why would someone appoint someone else unless that person is good? Of course, there are buyers. In this world, there are buyers. But I said, it won't last. Right? You may miss that opportunity, but you wait and you hang around, the opportunity will come. Maybe not your direct boss, maybe another department. So that's how you do it. And most people don't invest in themselves. In a working environment, most people are busy with doing whatever they are doing. They don't invest. So that's an easier way to differentiate yourself. If you say, yeah, I'm going to spend 10% of my time, 20% of my time doing things that is going to make me a better, more knowledgeable, broader in my skill sets, that's one way to quickly differentiate yourself.
Wonderful advice. I'm sure it's also applicable to any industry, right, that we are in. Okay, do we have the next question? Oh, yes.
Hello. Hello, my name is Zarif. Thank you so much, Mr. Bahren, for the wonderful sharing. Just have one quick question. How do you balance between adhering to our cultural and religious values whilst navigating corporate and office politics? Because we all know how harmful and detrimental that could be to one's mental health, to one's spiritual health. So how do you find the balance? And when do you say stop? And how do you know whether you want to go? How do you know whether you want to say, okay, I'm done with this, I want to change companies, change departments, maybe retire, start my own company, etc.? Happy to hear your thoughts. Yeah.
So we all have our individual values. So everyone have to understand what is important to you, what are the values that you hold dearly, right, to you. And that's very individual, right? And two, you need to draw the OB markers, right? Where are the OB markers for you? What are the things that you never compromise, and so on and so forth, right? And these I'm talking about beyond the basic values of integrity and so on. These are prerequisites. I mean, you forget about not having integrity with whatever job, you forget about it, right? So talking about just the additional lifestyle values and so on and so forth. So you got to decide yourself. So in any organization, you can navigate. It's not easy, you navigate, right? So for example, if your team is the one that always go out and party, right? Every day is a happy hour. In private banking, there are teams of that nature, right? And not only happy hour is excessive sometimes, right? You don't have to be in that. You navigate yourself, try to move out to other teams and so on and so forth. Try to avoid going there. And if you don't have a choice, then you have to then decide, okay, if you can't get out of this, you are stuck in this, then you have to find another organization, then so be it, right? To find another organization. But it cannot be that before you join the organization, you better do your homework, because if you go and jump into another organization that have the same issues, then you have chosen, the problem is with you choosing a wrong company. Some of these things you need to suss it out at the very beginning, because there's a lot of this cultural thing that built in, and party and going out, and you better join the one that enjoys doing 30-kilometer jog. Okay. Or maybe play golf, okay? For me, play golf, okay. Then at least all these are harmful, more the sports kind. In fact, it's going to be beneficial for you because you learn a lot of other things in sports, whether it's running or whatever other things that you do. That's very good. So you got to join those kind of group that have that kind of activities that build the bond, and not the party type. I mean, I am assuming that you are referring to in that, right? In banking, I mean, of course, as Islamic, first thing you have to understand what is your concept of riba, and you're willing to accept it or not. You have to, that's individual choice, right? Because I make that choice very early, because I work for all my life in a non-Islamic banking environment. That's my choice. Hopefully I do other things that can compensate in case dosa banyak. So you got to balance it, right? This is where accountant train debit and credit. So you make sure you earn some good points and you balance some of the things that you not supposed to do. But don't exploit. Don't use the system to exploit others or take advantage in banking. When you're dealing with clients, you make sure that you don't take advantage of the clients. In retail banking, there's a lot of process now to make sure that you don't sell the wrong products to the clients. Right? So these are important things that you have to keep in mind. And those are value oriented, right? Because to me, you do not want to make life difficult for others in as much as you don't want others to make life difficult for you. So don't do that. So that's, to me, your values, regardless of whatever race you are, that is not. If you have a team that cross that, oh, hey, let's make money, the client doesn't know, you make money. You cannot do that. You get big bonus, but your reputation will be damaged over time. You'll be remembered for the wrong reason.
Okay, thank you. So it's important, right? And it's dependent on your own moral compass and what you believe in. Okay, any other question? Yes.
Hi, thank you for your sharing, Mr. Bahren. My name is Jasli, and I'm going to matriculate into university to study business and hopefully specialize in finance. I would like to ask a question regarding internships. Basically, what are some of the key things one should highlight prior to joining investment banking, or what are some of the tips you would like to share to any fresh grads or any undergrads going through university? And another question is, how do you respectfully network with anyone, be it a recruiter, CEO, or anyone in any organization? Thank you.
Okay. Very important question. I think in terms of internship, I guess banks now have a structured way. I mean, not only banks, every company, right? Even the auditing, accounting, law firm have a structured way of recruiting interns. So first thing first, understand when and how they recruit. And I think universities, they come around to universities every year to recruit. So get to know the recruiter, or the university from the firm. That's number one. So if you don't get to the formal process, the second process is know someone in the bank, right? Or write to whoever you want. So in the first thing, don't underestimate, to me, writing cold to some people, right? When I was a CEO, I received email or things that people come, I'm doing this. And one guy, I still remember, very persistent. I think declined 3 times, still write to me. I said, okay, I give him opportunity because he's very persistent, right? So it's a good sales skill that you have persistence. So you can write in to whatever in the role, and chances, of course, is very, very low. But your effort, your resources that you invest are also very low. So if you don't get, and if you know someone, that's the way to get in. So what is skill set that you need to show? I think for most people, what they look for, your ability to learn, right? There's no really, because you are doing internship, so you're not expected to have domain knowledge on the subject matter, right? You are good team player, you willing to learn, you are you can adapt to the different environment. You're a self-starter, because a lot of people say, oh, you have this internship, but then you come in, you look around, you don't know what you're supposed to do, and so you better figure out yourself. You have to be self-starter, right? You have to be a good person to reach out to. You have to have that skill of reaching out to, good networking skills. So I think these are the things that you have to look out for. But don't get disappointed if you don't get a good internship, because every internship is a learning experience. I guess you have to form your own network. You have to, if you're not on LinkedIn, start building your LinkedIn profile. Right? I hope everyone, It's important to be your own personal brand. Who you are, what you've done, courses you have taken. Don't spend too much time that every day you post something. It's not because you just post enough to show who you are and what you're, so that because recruiter will go into your LinkedIn and look who you are, what you have done. Right? So that's important to build that network and attend industry event if there's any. From that is the only way to get internship. By the way, my time, I spent my internship doing work at Kentucky Fried Chicken as 3 months. And from there, and until now, I met a friend who's a doctor in the university that is close to me, right? I still remember the only thing we learned was to serve. But it's important to be able, and that's how you develop empathy. Standing in front on a counter for how many hours in front of that to serve people, that is really, then you learn, okay, life is not so easy. So that was the internship that I get because there was no opportunity to serve any internship during my time.
Thank you. So build your personal brand is very important, right? And that also will help to network. Do we have any other question? Yes. Okay, raise up your hand. Yes.
Mic test. Okay. Hi. I introduce myself first. I'm Elias. So today I came to this event solely based on the invite from my friend who works in finance. I work in tech, so just a disclaimer, I have very little background on banking. I do my own research before coming here, and I started exploring the world of finance not so long ago, also thanks to my friend. And I'm glad to say that I wasn't disappointed coming to this event, especially after hearing the conversations from the beginning of this event. Very useful and I think reflective information that you've shared. Yeah. So my question to you is, as a CEO of Bank of Singapore, you're at the position where you have the biggest influence. You're at the helm of the ship. You can steer. You have the biggest influence to steer the company into a direction, to a vision that you picture for the company. So my question is like, what was that ambition that you had or you wished the company could achieve, and like what was the what is the biggest challenge for you to bring that company to that objective? Yeah.
Thank you. So when I became the CEO, I mean, you never really trained to be a CEO, right? You got appointed to CEO. But I was, in a way, because the first, I was in the bank easily for 5 years before I became a CEO, because I joined the bank in 2010. I became a CEO in 2016, I think, or 5 years at least. So I understand what are the challenges in the organization, what are the pain points, what are the way things should not be done, right? So when I became a CEO, the first thing is, okay, now I'm a CEO, right? You got appointed as CEO, then what do you do? So it came to my mind, make life easy for other people. Everyone will be very happy, right? If you are all my employees, I said, I'm going to make life easy for all of you, right? To do what you need to do to get the job done. Right? So that was one of the things. So the first 1 year was just getting rid of the things that make life difficult. And this is all the organizational bureaucracy, the structure of the organization, some of the policies and processes that it doesn't make sense. Right? We all make policy, but we never change the policy. We never delete policy. It becomes irrelevant, it's still there. Right? And all poor employees around there, they are not in a position to change. I'm a CEO, I better change it. Right? So I just create work. That's one thing. Second thing I did was that, okay, now this is done, better focus on growth, because you do all these things, your top line and your bottom line don't grow, nobody's going to appreciate you, right? So you better focus there. But that is important to be in an industry that's growing. You must know where you, so private banking so happen is a growth industry, we have a good name, so focus on the growth because numbers speak for itself. All said and done, numbers don't lie. Right? So deliver on the numbers. So we grew. So at that time when I took over, it was about 55 billion of assets under management. By the time I retired, it was 125 billion asset management. That is my, anyone ask me what Bahren Shaari did, I think they know I grew the business. Right? Because that's important. I cannot be changing policies, processes, the business don't grow. You won't achieve anything, right? But in order for me to achieve that, I also have to transform the platform. Because the whole technology architecture of the bank is so backdated, 10 years behind. But you need, I have two options. I can do something about it, or I just kick the can down the road, not my problem. I mean, I only going to serve as CEO 3 years, 4 years, or why bother? And these are high risk, because when you change your core banking system, that is a high risk. So I did that in 2019. I said, okay. And that was also the beginning of what the fintech. The fintech is going to eat your lunch, and here you are having a system that can't even work well, right? Numbers and reconcile. Okay, I said, but I'm not a technology person. So I have to learn technology. But the good thing about Google is that you can find everything there. You can find a product management, you can find what's agile, what is data architecture, what is all the software to Monzo, your Databricks and everything all there. So you can learn a lot of things online. For the CEO, you don't need to know the details. You need to know enough at that level, right? So I did the platform transformation. And this is luck, right? And by the time I want to go live with the new platform, COVID hit. That was exactly February 2020. I was supposed to go live with the new platform. But I make the decision, and thank God, because if not, it would not go live. So we went live. So that was the part of it on the transform. But along the way, I learned a lot. I learned a lot on technology. So I learned a lot. What does it take to transform a platform? What does it mean about architecture, right? What is the data architecture, the tech stack of a new entity? All these things I never learned in my school days. I never even learned in my work days for so long. But I have the opportunity to talk to vendors, to talk to technology people to learn about it. So that was some very fun experience for me. Of course, it's fun, not so fun when you go through it, but it's fun. Right? And the other thing that I did was also acquiring another bank, Barclays private bank, we acquired. And that was also another decision I decided, because to grow, you have to acquire something. So we did that. So those are things that I guess you need to do it, because if you want to leave a legacy, you got to deliver a number, change the platform, right? So make life easier for everyone. So that's what, and the plan, by the way, wasn't decided when they become CEO. It's along the way. This is what agile, I mean, you better learn, you better be quick, and you better have a plan to execute. If you get it wrong, then better pivot quickly.
Okay, so the importance of being able to adapt, to pivot, and most importantly is to value add, right? Interestingly, you talk about Google. I don't know whether, I was just taught by my younger colleagues, nowadays they TikTok. Anything that they want to find out, no longer Google.
Yeah, I actually not on TikTok, because I'm afraid I get influenced. So I had been refused, because I already spent enough time on other social, on the machine. So I want to, my retirement job is to read more books, but I still haven't achieved that. There's Netflix, there is so many things that distract, the golf. So better not spend now scrolling on TikTok.
Okay, I think we can have a couple more questions. Is there any more? Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Bahren.
Yes.
I'm Shafiq from Avalis. I just have a question. I once read that you once tripled the AUM of a bank that you were once with before you were at BOS. Maybe you could share some tips on how you did well in your client acquisition days when you were a private banker, and maybe tips, or other than complete, accurate, and timely, what are other tips that, because I think that, speaking about legacy, I think that is one of the legacy that I mean, I'm inspired with. Yeah.
You are saying about building my own
AUM.
AUM.
Yeah.
So, one, as I said, I hang around, right? Because bosses leave, they leave their clients behind. So I have inherited relationships, but they are not big. And these relationships, because for whatever reason, people don't spend time and so on, and some of these things that became very, very big, right? A few 100 million kind of clients. By the fact that you actually took the time to know more about the clients, what do they do, and the opportunities that they can bring, right? So I think you have to, so this, quite a number of the clients that I built was from that segment of inherited clients that was abandoned by other bankers or bankers who left, senior bankers who left. Second, there are few cold call clients. Because in the days I can still cold call. Now you cannot do cold calling and all that. I have cold calls. I still remember the Jalan Cikini Dua in Jakarta. Got to find and go because I got a directive. Or this guy have money, right? He's in this industry, so I go. So they are cold calling. Even faxes that I sent. I still remember the client came back and said, "I want to subscribe to Singtel." I think that time Singtel was going IPO. So those things I do. So never. So in this new way is your networking, right? You attend an event, industry event, technology event, because there's a lot of people who are in engineering that if you work for NVIDIA, you're probably very, very rich now. So you need to get to know who are the people who potentially will have wealth. That's the second thing. And then the third is referral from existing clients. Because if you do a good job, clients will introduce you other clients, right? Because they know that this guy will benefit from that. So I do get referral from one or two key influencers, what we call now influencers, who then introduce other clients to me. So over the years, but you have to build your credibility. That's very important because you want to be, so I cover Indonesia market, right? So at that time, everyone knows Bahren Shaari in the Indonesia market for private banking, right? So that is the reputation you want to build by doing a good and reliable job. So one thing that I remember when I went to in banking, you tell the client you want to do something, you better do it. You better do it. You better remember and do it. Right? If you say do, otherwise your credibility, nobody will. And you sell products, it better be in the interest of the clients, not in your interest or the bank's interest. In the interest of the clients. The client remember you for that.
Okay, so building that credibility for yourself, also the same as building a brand name for yourself, right? Okay, we have another question, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Bahren. My name is Shami. I'm also trained as an accountant. So my question is very simple. So since you are already retired, what's your short-term and long-term goals for the next few years?
I don't have retired. You don't have a short-term and long-term, right? So I spend more time on community service. One of the things I don't do enough was give back to the community. So whatever the community wants me to do. You see, one of the things I consciously not do was to be branded as a Malay for Malays. Okay? For all the years in banking, I avoid that. Okay, of course, when Jauhari, I receive it because it's already how many years in that. I want to be recognized as a successful person in Singapore, regardless of what race you're from. So that was my personal brand that was important to me, right? So I don't do enough on the community service because I don't want to be seen as someone who only do community service in the Malay community. So, but now, I have no more excuses. I better, if someone asks me to serve in any committee or whatever, better do time to pay back, time to pay forward. Right? So now I put a lot of time in a community, whether NUS board or SPH or other board, all these are community service. And then the other part of my time is to really continue to do, I do investments. Yeah, I enjoy investments. I look at opportunities and not trading, looking at what sector, segment, whether interest rate going to go down or go up and so on and so on, position the portfolio accordingly. And also in the NUS, I'm doing that. So that is things that keep me busy. And then the rest of it, my own leisure. I don't feel bad. People ask you, enjoy, lah. Retire, enjoy for a while. But in Singapore, they tell me, everybody feel, what are you doing now? I say, I'm retired. What are you asking what I'm doing now? I'm retired already.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question.
Hi, I'm Fika. I'm from NTU. I just graduated there with a sociology degree, and I decided to pursue finance, and I become an auditor with zero finance background and zero accountancy background. So I guess my question is, how do I get that competitive edge among my peers, like for them having a finance background? How do I have the work qualities, the work ethics, and the character to be as good as them or even better? Yes, I know that you said reading, understanding the market, being visible. But what, as a first year, how should I behave? How should I be like?
Well, tough questions. From a sociology background to do auditing, well, that's a big jump, right? I guess you do need to take it in a good spirit, right? It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. At the end of the day, when I was doing auditing, I don't even understand what I was doing. They tell me to do vouching, okay, you vouch, you check this, it's okay, you do it. Just do it properly, just do it on timely, just do it diligently, and just do it accurately, right? So that always in there. So you just do it. And you have to ask yourself, then over time you will understand your domain in sociology, whether to what extent, how can you leverage on that? One thing that maybe I did not mention earlier, your ability to understand people is very critical. Understand society, very critical, because I have 2,000 people working in Bank of Singapore. So how do you mobilize everyone to get to do what you want them to do? Right? So you got, and you don't get that from the skill or auditor, accounting. They don't teach you that, right? So you got to bring on other skill set that you have. How do you get everyone to do the way you want it to do? So that is probably one way to differentiate yourself, right? Because you may have that people skill, people like you. Okay, the good thing about marketing, I'm an introvert, right? But I build over time, make people comfortable when they talk to you. Be humble, listen to them, don't talk until you are asked to speak, right? Other people speak first and then don't give others opportunity. Give a listening ear. So you got to find ways that will differentiate you. Because if other people are all doing this, you do the same, you're not going to be any different. So try to sense where will be the differentiation in that regard. And of course, you still have to understand the basic of auditing, what is expected, governance, and so on.
Okay, wow. I guess it's been an incredible session that we have with Mr. Bahren. Thank you so much, Mr. Bahren, for your candid and personal sharing today. I am sure your experiences provide valuable lessons for all of us. Let's give another round of applause for Mr. Bahren for his openness and sharing his journey.
Thank you.